Yeah. So
Okay.
Joseph, please confirm that we're up everywhere else, and then share the YouTube link with me. Great. We're live. We're here, and I'm glad to be in your faces. Good afternoon, everyone. And on your screen already, you can see the quintessential legendary Africa's angel investor is here with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Lagos Angel Network Launch and Learn session. And we're glad to join you from Lagos, Nigeria. And I know TD is somewhere in the UK where he calls home. Ask TD now, he will tell you everywhere is home. Don't don't harass me. So on this conversation today, it is one of those avenues where we try to provide necessary information and education to the investing community, the angel community, the ecosystem generally, the entrepreneurial ecosystem generally, all across Africa. And today we're talking angel returns, angel investing returns. What does research say? What is the reality? And who better but one that is now legendary? Yes, officially earned the space. Um, the CNC at TVC Labs, our ancestor at Lagos Angel Network. Yes, one of the that's very amazing organization that we're privileged to keep driving. Ladies and gentlemen, TD is in the building.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Good to have you, sir.
It's really good to be here. I'd like to thank Lan, for the invite. I think my angel investing story is one I keep telling. I've told quite a number of times, but it started uh, with what is now a YouTube channel on its own. But at that time, we were doing paper comics. It's called Super Strikers. And that one taught me everything about the early stage chaos, passion, and, also about exits. Um, what I'm hoping we do today is to talk about returns in angel investing. Okay, first we'll start with what does the research say, and then
Yeah,
I'll share some of the things that I've learned from real life, not theory. It's 20 years of battle scars mixed with both global and local data. Um,
indeed.
Talking to you here, that's what I'm hoping to do. Thanks,
Great
Solomon.
stuff, TD. Thank you so much for coming through. The notice was short, I must admit, but you said, "Oh, you sure? Let's get it done." And it's good to have you here.
Yes.
Um, Before we get into returns, what has it been like this 2 decades plus, providing funding, leadership, guidance, mentorship generally for um, diverse startups and their founders across Africa? What has it been like? What has the experience been like?
Well, in terms of personal experience, I mean, the reality, I'll start with just 2 weeks ago. I think I gave a master class on this. We had a startup set out to transform Africa's cold chain logistics, for example, they were targeting a 12.5 billion annual market. And
Mm.
they even onboarded over 100 users. For B2B, that's significant. They processed more than 140 tons of goods, and they, actually created over 30K in shipment value. However, with fragmented infrastructure, thin margins, operational costs, outpacing their revenue, the business struggled to scale. Capital constraints, limited buy-in from key ecosystem partners accelerated their shutdown. They're not unique. Another one was
Mhm.
tackling financial transparency for Nigerian SMEs. They onboarded 2,000 small businesses. I mean, I'm talking of they did over 300 million naira in transactions. They partnered with banks, digital lenders, and they were even projecting a sum of about 51 billion. But with all of this, CAC to LTV, I keep telling people they didn't make it. Great ideas, poor execution, or overpromised potential. Okay, we lost money, but guess what? Gained experience. I mean, vision without traction, it's not going to raise capital. That's the first thing you learn. And for you angels, you can't just invest and disappear.
Mhm.
Okay? Hands on beats hands off. Code TD. Trust me on that one, especially if you're a
Great.
first check writer.
Yeah.
And, you know, big markets don't guarantee product market fit, especially in complex offline heavy sectors like the one I talked about in logistics earlier. And if they've got low ARPU models, they're going to need massive scale or early upsell pathways. Okay,
Mm. Mm.
that's the requirement
Okay.
there.
Yeah. So today we'll now drive this into returns generally.
Mhm.
Um, so Kaufman Foundation says that just 10% out of the over 100 would give you 90% of the returns that you're hoping to get as an angel investor. The AVCA says that most angels within the 4 to 9 year time frame would
Mhm.
do maybe 2x their investments. And really, what has been research for you? What does it look like in terms of what
Well,
the paper numbers say?
angel investing can offer anywhere from 20 to 25% IRR. That's if you do it well.
Mm,
Okay, but most agents don't see that. I can tell you that free of charge. Median exits are 2 to 3x, and it's over an 8 to 10 year period. Okay, according to the 2025 Hamilton report, okay, PVC performance is down versus public, markets. But the thing is, infrastructure buyouts and private credit are becoming staple diets.
okay.
Inflation is real, okay, because top quartile versus bottom quartile fund performances. And in our case on the continent, angel returns, they're bimodal. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, we've got a few outsized exits that drive most returns, while many of the investments fail. I would estimate top quartile angels get 35% IRR with 3 to 5x multiples. I've done better. I'll tell you about it in a minute. And that's over a 7 to 10 year period, though averages are lower due to the high failure rates. But you see, ecosystem growth, especially if you look at what fintech has done and what clean tech starting to do, they're increasing exit activity. And that's
Mhm.
signaling the rise potential. But patience and diversification, critical. Bottom line, you can win big, but only if you avoid losing often.
If you avoid losing often, Tiri, but we should be losing more because of again this thing about the power law about you need 10 for say 2 or 3 to do well. Because what I've experienced is more and more angels are avoiding to lose so they are not doing deals?
Well, again, it depends on why you're in angel investing in the first case. Okay. I don't think I've gone a year in the last 10 years without doing at least one investment. Okay. That's me. Other people are in it for different reasons. Me, I do first outside check. Why? Because I want to be there at the beginning so I can tell the story. Let me tell you a couple of those stories, okay, that are also associated with what we are talking about here, which is exits. Okay. The first one I talked about was super strikers. I've given you that. It's public domain, public knowledge as to what those exits are. But let me talk about a totally different. I met this young man. He was on stage. Okay. That was 2017, 2018. It must have been. Okay. And his dream was to build a smokeless cooking stove. Okay. That's in Abuja. I'm saying cooking stove,
Hmm.
that's not technology. Then he mentioned two critical things that just blew me away.
Tell
He
me.
says, and the stoves are going to have IoT. Remember, this is 2018. Oh, I'm not talking of today. 2018.
Yes, sir.
Says, and the stoves are going to have IoT. All right. And by the way, we're going to use AI to make sure that the carbon credit they generate is blockchain enabled. I held
TD,
my
hold on. Just,
yeah,
just hold on for a bit. So
yeah,
you're saying IoT will be Internet of Things,
correct. IoT as in
and
Internet of Things. And that
and
what he would do was he would have the GPS, what do we call it? The GPS systems, okay, would be able to track their carbon footprint because they were going to be carbon positive, and so they'd have offsets that could be traded. Now, today, that company has stoves with an electricity output of up to 50 watts with lithium ion storage.
okay,
We're currently doing anywhere from 40 to 60,000 units a month. And last year's revenue, okay, crept towards the $1 million mark, even with the devaluation, which is how come I
impressive.
could get an exit, which turned out
Oh,
to be 12x of initial investment last year.
last year.
This company has done over 500,000 households, created over 100,000 jobs. You know, we're talking of expansion of operations in Nigeria to the US, UK, Kenya, and clear SDG impact. So it can be done. That's one example. But, you know, yeah, that's the okay. How many have you invested? You've done over 100 investments. You've given us two, and so well,
Exactly. Exactly. So because again the stats for exits across Africa are not so they're not so much. So we have about 114 between 2014 and 2022. There were only 114 exits all across Africa. So
recorded exits. Okay, you need
I
to
agree.
understand less than 30% of angel investors on the continent. Okay, talk about anything they're doing. So any numbers
True.
you have is a fragment. Okay, I know people that have exited it. Okay, let's even where didn't people exit in Paystack? Where's the story? Hello,
Yes, sir.
only point that just happened. Where's the stories?
We
And
have
I'm
some
just
of them
saying, those are
alive.
the unicorns. If we start going into the acquisitions that have happened, that angels have exited from, then we start to talk about. So, bottom line of it is, first of all, is the occlusion. But on the continent, we have longer time to exit. There's no debate about that at all. Why? Infrastructure challenges that have to be overcome, funding challenges that have to be overcome, and most importantly, the nature of the fragmented environments. These start. Everybody talks Africa, 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 but you, when you are a founder, you know that okay, just dealing with Nigeria alone. By the time you finish with Lekki local government, Ayaba mainland deal with you. Then you finish with that, then you have to deal with Lagos State itself. Before you even think of Abuja and Federal, you start to get the challenges these founders face. And that's just Nigeria. You finish with all of that, like my friend did with Konga, you now start looking cross border, it'll fry anybody's brains. So it's a non trivial thing founders are doing. And when you consider the fact that if we're talking real startups, the reason they're a startup is because they're innovating and doing something nobody else has done before. So that comparative reference isn't really there. What does that mean to you as an angel investor? Well, first and foremost, you've got to diversify. And I know you've heard that. Spread across minimum 8 to 10 startups. Ah, but I only have 5K and then cut it into 500. Join a network where 500 is the base and invest that way if you're really, really interested. There's a way around it. And don't
8 to
go
10 within
alone.
what period frame, TD?
Sorry?
8 to 10 within what period frame?
8 to 10 startups is what you need to target as your base portfolio. Not everybody's going to be a TD with 30, 40 startups in their portfolio. That's not I live and breathe this stuff. Not all angels are that way. You don't have to be that way to be an angel. I know some amazingly successful angels, okay, who have day jobs too. Now, the advantage I believe I have, which I share and I commend to everybody, is the poem framework. And I use it to evaluate and to support startups and to help them build. The reason being, it was born out of the biggest loss. Well, yeah, it still is the biggest loss I ever had, which was a company we raised $10 million for called Boo.com that still went bust. So, based on that and the learnings I've had over the years, investing both in Lagos and across the continent, we sort of refined the framework and it works for me and I commend it to others. But whether you use poem or you use something else, as an angel, I beg you, push for structured reporting and founder accountability. Okay? This faith-based
Hold on,
investing, forget that
hold on,
matter.
TD.
Yeah.
Structured reporting and
Founder
accountability.
accountability. Yes.
Founder accountability. So, how do you get a founder to be accountable? Because I'm dealing with one right now who thinks that, oh, he sends investor reports every month and quarterly, and
My
so
syndicate,
why am
my
I
syndicate members know this well. You make and lose your money before you invest. That is why the VCs and the rest of the world invented due diligence.
indeed?
Okay? Now, for angels, what I tell them is, the person, the founder, their integrity, their capability, their foresight, all of those aspects are singularly more important than the idea. I don't care how big the idea is. Okay? Because ideas, they come a dime a dozen. They're just a multiplier for execution. You ain't got execution capabilities, please. We can have a coffee, we can do other things, but don't talk to me about investment. And that's why, as angels, you've got to engage beyond capital. You've got to share your network, you've got to share your time, you've got to share your wisdom, you've got to engage. I trust that
So that
helps.
brings me, yeah, that brings me to something I wanted you to spend a little more time on. I don't think that we share enough of our wins as angels. Titi, talk to us about returns, and yeah, I know you mentioned like two earlier, maybe another two more that has been really sweet. That will sweeten this conversation.
Um,
What is the reality of the returns in angel investing?
well, the first thing I've got to say is let me put the caveat this way. Like I said earlier, The only reason I believe I can talk about returns now is because for 10 years, every year, I found at least one startup to give at least $2,000, which is why I and of course I do all the scrutiny and everything else, but that's why I can now talk of annual returns like I do, because one, I've got a portfolio. You can look up tvcng.com, it's public domain. You can see who's in, who's out in terms of our portfolio. You can see who's in my syndicate that's co-investing with us. And the point being, you do it for long enough and frequently enough, surprise, surprise, it will yield the desired results. Why? Because whether we like it or we don't, these kids are building the future of this continent. And they're going to do it with or without us. And they're going to
Indeed,
innovate their way out of problems. I
indeed.
honestly believe that.
So there's a question here today. It says, in terms of accountability, what controls does a typical angel have to have over a founder's business?
None. Trust is the only thing you can bet on. Okay? And the more they trust you and you trust them, the better the relationship will be. But in trying to, I don't care. I've tried all kinds of. There was a time we even hired a young man, an accountant, and his day job was very, very simple. Bug the startups, make sure their paperwork's in order, and collect the data. Didn't work. You know, it worked for some, and they ended up using him as the accounting department. Others didn't give him the time of day. So, you know, the bottom line of it is that's why I was saying what I was saying earlier. All the work is done up front. Is this personality right? Will they, when they're in the thick of problems, will they remember to call me? What do I think of the individual? Because the bottom line, which I hope you take out of this, is as an angel investor, what you're doing is you're actually building relationships. That's what this is about. Is giving the founder the kind of confidence to be able, I got this problem. Let me a message. My WhatsApp is always full. This founder's got this challenge, that one's got that one. And then you pick up the phone, work the phone for them, or bring them in and hey, Kai, break this out, stop this, do this, and so on. That's why you're there. That's what the angel investing is all about. That's why you put in 2 grand and within 5 years it's become 10. That 10 is your effort to get it there. I trust that
Indeed.
helps.
Yeah, it does. It does. Akim Misa is one of our angels at the Lagos Angel Network, and
Mhm.
he's asked this question. He says, "What is the optimal exit timeline before or after going public?"
If you get that far, okay.
Exactly.
Um, Last I checked, probably Jumia is the only
Yeah.
IPO. Okay, we've got unicorns, but I don't know if Okay, well, it depends on how you define IPOs. That's another thing because I was having this argument with somebody the other way. A friend of mine went public on the Nigerian Stock Exchange with his tech company. Is that an IPO or not? Hello. It's just the company was built before we started talking about startups. In fact, companies was built right from when we started. But the point being this, as angels, don't look at IPO. All right? I don't. What do I look at? Will they get to Series A and which VC will take them on at Series A? Because that's my first option of exit. Why? Because it's
Yeah.
the most lucrative. When I meet my founders, I say my job is to get you from MVP to Series A. After Series A, it's above my pay grade. You're on your own.
Agree.
Okay, first. But what I'm finding, and you said talk about exits. Um, One of the other exits I had was an acquisition, and there seem to be more and more of those. So mergers and acquisitions. In fact,
Yeah.
I own shares in one company I didn't invest in because they acquired my startup. But
Wow.
again, That was an all share swap, so it doesn't count for me because it's the ones that give you the cash that you originally put in. And that also happens in mergers, especially when it's an acquisition. A senior partner taking on, a startup to become a unit of their big organization.
Big organization.
Yeah. And, to be honest, if I am a betting man, I'm betting more on those than anything else. So I'm looking and saying, now, XYZ company has done ABC, but this is a space they're going to need to play in, that they haven't reached yet. This startup would be a good fit. And that happens ed tech, fintech, health tech. It depends on how you choose. So, for example, right now, my most exciting is solar and what's happening with solar in Nigeria. All of a sudden, people are waking up to it, realize, oh, actually, it's cheaper to put in solar than to be waiting for so you've got a quiet solar revolution happening in Nigeria. I don't know how many angels are
Nigeria.
to that. You know,
Yeah.
when Weber was talking about energy and we're trying to, people are looking and saying which one solar, look at where we are now. So those are the kind of things we even have. I'll keep it quiet. We have a startup that's looking at solar driven cars in
Oh,
Nigeria.
okay. Okay. So that the roof up on top of it
It's solar.
is where the panels are. Yeah, I
You
could
got it.
imagine. Akim has
You
come
got
again and he says if SEC provides any protection for the angel. I would have wanted to attack that, but it's TD's event, so go for it,
Well,
TD. SEC
here's
and angel investing.
I beg, this is where I need help, okay? Thanks to Oswald, Kola, uh, Bosun, Olumide, quite enough, well, not Bosun, sort of, yeah. Um, the National Startup Act got passed. But until the states actually do whatever they have to do, it's not going to take effect. That's the first time angel investors are recognized in Nigerian law. Okay. SEC doesn't, as far as SEC is concerned, if you're not VC, then you don't exist. And that's because of the way their rules have been written, which is you have to be licensed as an investor, which makes a lot of sense because you're taking other
Sense.
people's money. What they
Yeah.
haven't figured out is if I'm investing my own money, what rules do I come under? And that's what the National Startup Act takes care of. I trust that helps.
Yeah, and so maybe what we would now do to further that conversation is look at that act
I
with the
beg,
eyes
go
of.
to your state legislator and ask them, Charlie, what's happening with National Startup Act now? There's a young lady by the name of Victoria Fabumwe out of Nedda who's championing this. Please support her. If we can get it passed by the states, then we're good to go.
All right, so that's a conversation that we certainly want to look at,
Mm.
especially from the land front.
Mhm.
Adeolu Adewumi there says bet on the jockey, not the horse.
You
Horse.
got it.
Yeah, although I learned recently that the race data doesn't actually back that old statement. Well, that's you and Adeolu TD.
Well, that what data doesn't?
The race data doesn't back that old statement, saying that statement is lost is
Well,
is
I
source.
can only I go by yours truly, where I've bet on 42, 36 is still alive, okay, and five of them are pre-series A, if not six. There's a question mark on. So that's what I'm basing. It's my own personal hard facts that I'm basing what I'm saying on. I'm not saying that applies to everybody. That's why I gave the caveat earlier. I have an advantage. I've been at it for a while. I have a framework that works, and I focus on first outside check. I don't do subsequent rounds and all of that kind of stuff because to me, I'm betting on the individual going all the way, not on the idea becoming. I'm if I bet on you, then I'm betting that you will do what you say, and that's how I approach it. But I have to warn those listening, that's one approach. There are a plurality of approaches that work, some that are even better and more effective than mine. So please, 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 as you hear what I'm saying, take a look at what others have also done. There's some significant players out there who are doing amazing things in the angel world besides TD.
Awesome, TD. This question here, talking about what startups should look for in the angel, says to me, startups too should be vetting angels the same way angels should vet startups. What's your take on that, TD?
I have a master
What,
class for startups on that. I
say
actually have
again?
I have a master class for startups on that I teach. I actually teach all my founders. It's a fundamental one because it's like a marriage. Okay? Why are you going to take somebody's money if all they've got is money? Especially if you're at the beginning of your journey. And
Hmm.
understanding when and how to take money and who to take it from are critical components of building the kind of startup you want to build. All right. First and foremost, you don't want angels that want to come and take ownership. If a precondition, all right, of taking your money is that they must have a board seat, tell them thanks, but no thank you. Okay. If they want to take more than 15% of your company, tell them thanks, but no thank you. If they cannot provide you with access to business networks or a knowledge base in addition to the cash, say thanks, but no thank you. And always ask, what else have they invested in? Who have they invested in before? And can you have a chat with some of those people they've invested in before? Just like VCs will want to talk to your previous investors. It's the same. It's a two-way street. Come on, guys. And the whole idea ultimately is for founders to become angels. So begin as you intend to continue. Or as
TD,
Stephen Covey says,
what
begin
of
with the end in mind.
what of angels who are first time angels? A number of my angels at LAN are
That's
being
why you should
recruited.
belong to a group.
Yeah,
Don't do it
yeah,
alone. Don't.
yeah.
Okay, it's too dangerous. Belong to a group. Watch them do
Why
their
are you
first
making it
few,
sound like that
watch
now?
them do
It's
their
too
first few
dangerous.
transactions before you invest.
TD, you're making it sound very scary. You're saying it's too dangerous. It's like
No, I'm
carrying a
I'm not
loaded gun.
saying. Look, if you wanted to learn how to drive a car, would you start driving the first day?
Hell no.
Exactly. And it's as complex as driving a car. But once you learn the skills and guess what happens? You even forgot how you learned. You will change gears automatically. Assessing
Indeed.
founders becomes something you can do. You meet a founder, by the time you've had 5, 10 minutes, you know whether this guy is going somewhere or not.
Absolutely. True.
But remember the first time you start,
Yeah.
you're doing that. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the
It's
same thing with anything you're learning.
yeah. Great. So, for people in the audience, this is Lagos Angel Network's Lunch and Learn, and we have with us TD Twali Baba. TD is in the building. TD is one of the co-founders of Lagos Angel Network, a network of angel investors, amazing angel investors supporting very credible, innovative ideas out of Lagos, Nigeria, and across Africa as we go on. And so, what we do is come together as an exclusive network of angel investors, look at startups and founders that are doing amazing work to solve a lot of our economic and societal challenges in Nigeria and across, and provide them with the support that they need financially, morally, leadership, access to markets, access to networks, open doors for them. Amazing things that the Lagos Angel Network angels are doing on the behalf of everyone, really. They're angels. They're angels for everyone. And TD and I are talking today about returns and angel investing returns. What is the truth about it? What has paper and paperwork said over the years, and what has the experience been? And TD is described as Africa's angel investor. What a title! But rightly earned, and he's been sharing with us from experience. And we're really glad to have all of you here. Um, yeah, Adolu says TD dropping bombs as usual.
Well, look, I calls it as I sees it. I'm sorry, and I make no apologies for that in that sense because look, life's too short, okay? And how do I put it? Just calls it as you see it. Let's just cause look, at the end of the day, right? What are the stats we're talking about here, and why is everybody excited? Well, why me am I
Mhm.
excited? Let me tell you. Okay, here's some fundamentals. All right, I don't care who is in Aso Rock or who is in the White House. All right, they're irrelevant to what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Okay, next year, let's take the bet. I can
TD, I can't
guarantee
bet
you
with
this.
you. You
Huh?
have too much money. I can't bet with you.
Okay, well, but here's the bet. At least 5 million, not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 million new Nigerians will arrive.
When you say arrive, TD, what does that mean?
They'll be born.
Oh, they will arrive. Okay.
They're going to need to be clothed. They're going to need to be fed. Are you with me? They're
Yes,
going to
sir.
need to be educated. While all of that is happening, they want entertained. You've got to entertain. And that is what we call the economy that generates the commercial value that these guys are trying to create. So, how do I clothe them better? How do I feed them better? How do I move them around better? Are you starting to see the opportunity?
Yes, sir.
Because no matter what our mortality rate, 5 million people a year being coming consistently, hello, I don't know why people can't see that economy itself. It's not optional. This is not going to change. Oh yeah, the governor will change, the president will. But guess what? Whether I like it, 27, another 5 million will arrive. 28,
Indeed.
another one will arrive. 29,
Indeed.
they are here again. 30, they haven't stopped coming. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm focusing on in terms of the parents of those. What are the problems they face that we can solve and create value around?
TD, there's a question here. It's more like a feedback of some sort. Some angels
Yeah.
play by network, like
Mm-hmm.
Lagos Angel Network.
Yeah.
Founders find themselves having to deal with one angel, but their conversation goes out to the other angels. Now, most founders get caught when one angel don't find them exciting. They easily pass down to the other angels. How have you seen, or what knowledge do you have for a founder to remedy this situation that has worked in the years of experience? Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah, you've always they go by different names from lead angel to syndicate lead to what have you. You've got to, not everybody's going to believe you. Okay, not everybody's going to buy into what you're going to do, no matter how compelling it looks or how great it looks. There are people that told Jeff Bezos, you selling books online, you must be bonkers. Today, the man runs Amazon. The story of what of the Uber team, that the team that started Uber and what their experiences are. I have a friend, also an angel investor. You can look at his name is Tom Ilube, Ilube. Amazing, amazing guy. What Tom told me was this: because he'd raised phenomenal amounts. I said, "Ah, how do you do it?" He says, well, I mentally say to myself, until I get 200 people saying no, I will continue. The furthest he's got is 159, if I remember right. Now, can you imagine 159 people telling you you are wrong?
You're wrong.
That's what some founders go through. Okay. So it's not about the angel, it's about the syndicate and what you can get to build what you're building through them. Do they have enough cash? Yes or no? Okay, let's park that. Do they have the knowledge base I can tap into? Yes or no? Let's park that. Now, do they have the network of people that I can tap into? And guess what? That network is actually more valuable than cash.
Than
And
cash.
let me bring it to life. A startup approached me. I want to raise funding. Ah, sorry. I don't do first outside. I only do first outside check. You should have come to me at the beginning. Whatever.
Today, I'll stop you.
Yeah.
What is first outside check? You've said that a lot. What do you mean by first outside check for this for the audience?
Oh, my apologies. My apologies. My apologies. Right. When you are building a startup, you start with your own money. Okay. Which sometimes you go, it's you and your girlfriend or you and, anyway, that's called bootstrapping. You get money from your family, from friends, from everybody else. First outside check is when somebody's actually writing a formal contract agreement. In our case, we use the standard agreement for future equity, which is the
Say
safe agreement. Okay. Um, for that. And it just means that it is the first people who are not your family members, when I'm not your family members, and it's not you or your co founders that is on your table of capital, your cap table, share owners, people that actually own. Okay. Because again, safes don't actually take immediate equity. There's a whole story around that also, but I won't bore you with the details of that. The key thing is the first person outside your family, outside the founders, your family, your friends, your fans, and some will say even fools that put money in your company. So that's what
great.
first outside
Thank you,
check
sir.
is. I trust that helps.
That helps, sir. So let's go back to where I took you away from.
Which was
You were telling a story about a
about
founder who came to you.
what was the context? Sorry.
It was something about. Let me go around to you.
And you expect me
Someone
to
help
remember.
me. Yeah. Someone help you.
I'm quite sure there's somebody in the audience that's gonna say,
Chidi, when we remember, we'll come back to that.
okay,
Um,
some angels play right. It was the
you know,
founder.
we've taken that before. I want us. I want us to talk about capital recycling in our ecosystem. Is that working?
We haven't got there yet. We haven't got there yet. You can't recycle without returns. Think about it. Okay? What goes in must come out for you to reiterate it. What I do now is 25% of returns goes to reinvestment.
25%. Please come again with that.
25% of any returns I get goes back into investment.
Not 50, not 60.
No, 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 not at all.
Okay.
Because again, because of the magnitudes we're privileged to get. The least I've made in an exit is 10x.
Okay. So
Okay.
TD, they've brought us back to what we were talking about. One the startup that you mentioned that got 159 rejections, and
No,
that
no, no.
was
That was somebody. That was
yeah.
somebody. That was yeah. That was
So that
somebody.
it was from that
It was
conversation that we
yeah.
went into the founder.
Well, the question had come about what you do about angels passing you around when they're not interested.
Yes,
I think that
yes.
was the original question was, and I was saying, don't worry about rejections. Okay. And sometimes when people say, oh, NDAs, I don't do NDAs. All right. Because, like I said, ideas come a dime a dozen. It's not about the idea, it's about how you execute the idea.
How you execute it? Yes,
Yeah.
very, very important. So maybe we want to dwell on that a little for founders in this conversation. Much ado about NDAs, and really, why shouldn't founders bother?
It's a waste of their time and yours too. The lawyers enjoy it because, they'll flip you for a few thousand, if not a few 100,000 naira to help you do an NDA. Okay, but please, I challenge anybody. You go and bring me in Nigeria, or I'm not talking anywhere in Nigeria, any NDA lawsuit that has been successful. That's my argument. I
Okay.
trust I help.
Okay. So, TD, I'm going to try to tie up everything that we've shared
Mm-hmm.
as we begin to head towards a home stretch.
Yeah.
We've looked at returns and the figures, and you've said to us that not everything is reported, especially out of Nigeria and in Africa. You've also said to us that angels have got to be more strategic, and even the founders themselves have got to look out for um, who they are going to bed with. We've spoken about SEC and how SEC has not been able to tell in clear terms what the reaction should be when it is you investing your own money. They have every other thing else covered. Um, we're having a lot of report. Okay, Adeolu says not just in Nigeria. So like generally, there's not been NDAs and suits about NDAs that work. Um, a founder who asked for investment, a founder who asked for investment but has raised before. I don't know what that is. When is the right time for a startup to assemble a board of advisors?
The day they start.
So as the startup begins work, they should begin to gather a
In
team
your in
together.
in the ideal world, okay, your dad, your uncle, your senior brother, or some member of your family who has the expertise in the area you're looking at should be the first member of your advisory board. Remember, advisory board is to guide and direct you. They're not there, sorry, is to guide you. They're not there. They're separate from the board of directors, which is a legal compliance requirement. Governance speaking, if you are a limited liability corporation, whether LLC or LTD, that's board of directors. But in terms of board of advisors, even before you incorporate, you should have an advisor. I trust that helps.
Yeah, it it helps. The storm is really heavy here. It's all over the place. So
I've heard, yeah.
um, I'm having a hard time to concentrate. Okay. So the BOA question is gone. Adeolu says proper governance should begin from day zero.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I
Tili,
agree.
what other things do you have in mind? My questions are out.
Mm. Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying that my questions are out. So it's your floor. There are angels on the call listening in. There are founders on the call listening in. And as our elder, I'm sure you have a message burning in your heart as we tidy this up.
Yeah, well, here's the rub as I see it. Okay. We've got young founders who see problems, sometimes problems we don't even understand, okay, and are trying to build solutions for them. So that's and then at the same time, we have individuals who have become stable economically in life and believe that they're in a position to contribute to the development of others while making money doing it. The reason the Lagos Angel Network exists is to bring those two parties together in a structured way that enhances the development of both groups to the point where founders become angels. That's the objective. And the only way a founder will aspire to become an angel is if they benefited from a system. Because you see, human beings, no human being I've ever met wants to owe anybody anything, no matter what. Yes, we all owe and we take debt. But guess what? Every time somebody gives you something without any hook, you want to pay back. And that's typically the driving force of most angel investors is they remember something somebody did for them in their youth or at some point, and it maybe one, two, maybe even more people, and they just feel, I've got to do my bit. That social responsibility component of angel investing tends to be unique to African angel investors. I will, just so you're aware, and I know I won't bore you with the details of my own personal history, but the thing is, it's innate in us that look after the community sense.
Mhm.
That's why you've got to do it in groups. That's why we created Lagos Angel. And then when Lagos Angel got too big, we said, let's create your own syndicate, and the syndicate will belong to Lagos Angels too. So the idea is still the same. We can build a better future if we have structured ways of supporting those who are solving the problems within our society and doing that commercially, not as charity. I trust that helps.
Helps a lot. Helps a lot. So, quick word. What does syndication do for the angel? Why should the angel belong to a syndicate?
Well, first and foremost, it de-risks your investment. You can't know everything. Anyone that knows me knows that if there's not somebody in finance in a deal, I'm not doing. And that's first outside check. Why? Because it's a journey. And I know Jack. Yes, I understand the basics of accounting and all of that. But when it comes to intricate, like right now, one of the big deals we're talking about is debt finance. Okay.
Indeed.
As an investment vehicle, and I'm like, that's Igbese. How does it? They say, oh no, no, it's called revenue based finance, and they structure
Yeah.
it this way. And I say for startups. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is there are 12 distinct areas required to build a credible startup. You can't know all 12. So that's why you go to the syndicate. Maybe you have three of those. Somebody else will have another three. This one has two. This one has one. Now one has six. Yes, between all of you, you'll cover all the 12 requirements for a startup to build. I trust
Great.
that helps.
That helps a lot. There's this one that gets to me because of the work that we do at LAN.
Hmm.
It's the smaller checks. The the startups complain that, oh, the checks that are written are too small, and but again, as angels, we understand that smaller checks across a number of people is good
It's not
stuff.
even that. We're different to the rest of the Western world. I've actually written, I mean, remind me, I'll dig out the article because I had to write about this as to why we do smaller checks. Um, is very simple. We have a higher risk environment. We have a fragmented market, okay, and what you will do with $2,500 in Lagos is more significant than what you'll do with 25,000 pounds in London. That's been my reality. It's not
Indeed, that's the
grammar.
truth,
If you
TD.
look, td@tvcng.com, email me, and we can have that conversation.
Okay, so final word to founders before I take over the microphone from you. Final word to angels.
Final word to founders: find an angel that understands your vision, and one that just think of it as a marriage. If I have to stick with this baba or this person or this iya or this woman or whatever for the next 10 years, will it work? Angels, exactly the same thing. Can I stomach this person for 10 years? Are they coachable? Will they listen to me?
Mhm.
Over to you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, TD. It's been a pleasure having you. I'm glad I was able to box you in the corner into the corner to get you to do this. But you see, this event today would not have been possible except for the proud supporting sponsorship from the guys at taketrips.co. You want to travel abroad, book tickets, book hotel accommodations globally, taketrips.co would help solve that problem. So I'd advise, I would encourage, I would urge you to please rush to taketrips.co, taketrips.co. Taketrips.co made this program possible, and we're grateful for their support. If you're out there, you're an angel, or you're aspiring to become an angel investor, we're waiting for you at www.lagosangelnetwork.net. There's a membership form there. Please fill it through and we'll be waiting to receive you. My name is Solman. I work with Lagos Angel Network, and I've had the pleasure of hosting the Doyen, the Babag Balagba, Swale for the boss man. Um, my predecessor and ancestor in so many ways, TD, C&C of TVC Labs. Thank you so much, TD, for being here. And I'd like to thank everyone who's been on this conversation with us. Adeolu, thank you. EJ Onejeme, I hope I have that correctly. Thank you so much for being here. All our angels, Akim Misa, Tano, I see you. Rukaya Ramide Yusuf, thank you. Chidera was bombarding this back to back. Thank you all for coming through. Tola Laifa, I'm grateful. Um, Maybe at the next lunch and learn, we'll give awards and maybe cash rewards or internet access or something for our most active participants. But this has been such an enjoyable moment. TD, you made this super great, and I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please keep following us on LinkedIn. We're most active on LinkedIn and on YouTube. The channel is Lagos Angel Network. You'll find it on YouTube, and Lagos Angel Network on LinkedIn. And that's my time. I'm grateful to everyone. We are out. Thank you.
Thank you.